Thanks for coming. I know most of you are here to see a Pritzker Prize winner. So we're lucky to get your ear, actually. You've seen already a couple of slides. In a way that's kind of a regrouping, like a family gathering with Tim, I, and as you have seen, Shigeru Ban was one of our choices when we started Make It Right with Brad. We knew that it shouldn't be one designer designing homes. If you do a community, you need pluralism. That's the very essence of urbanism. So we invited a lot of architects, and Shigeru was one of them who accepted to do a house. We're very proud to have him. So, as you heard, I'm one of the co-founders of GRAFT. At GRAFT, with Thomas and Wolfram, we do very different things. We get bored if we do this same thing over and over again. So we do big master plans for cities. We also do really small things, like product designs. And today I want to talk a little bit about water, as this is the topic, in very general terms. Some of the facts might be boring or known. Some of the facts I think are surprising. It's always good to reground yourself about a couple of facts, and then you can move forward. And I want to show you one project only, and it's not a big hotel or museum. It's actually one of our really smallest projects, but what I think a project that fits in this Congress, and is a project that has the potential, the leverage to change big parts of the world, actually, and that's why we're proud of it. Water and city, empowering off-grid communities. Tim has talked a lot about communities, and he's right. As architects, as planners, as citizens, we live in communities, and communities are our way of living. And if you, as an architect, don't understand that your work is actually for community, you will fail. But if you take community seriously, you will have great ideas that can serve a community and be successful, actually. Let's start with water, basically. I know I did something horrible, pressing the wrong button. Okay, it starts with water. Our planet is blue. We don't know that really, we only know it because some people made it out to space and took some photographs. Why is it blue? Because we have a lot of water. 71% of our planet is water. Fantastic. Well, not really. If you think that from this 100% of water, only 3% is actually fresh water. Well, it's not that much anymore, actually, from it. And you see the little blue dot? Yeah, that's our fresh water that we all need, as we know. We know that water is in the core, in the center of many things that concerning mankind. It's a social space, right? We all need water as communities. We all need water to recreate, to stay healthy also in our heads. We need it as a recreational thing. We need it as something that nourishes our body, nourishes our mind. And basically, it's a vital source of all life, basically. Without water, no life. Also without sun, no life. We're coming back to that later. So, water is vital. If we don't have water, we die. So it's important. It's important for every living thing. And water is becoming more and more a really scarce substance for many of us. Probably not the people in this room, most of them, at least I hope, but for many others. And why is that? And what can we do against it? We see a dramatic change in our environment, and that means everywhere, right? These are images from Lake Powell, in the southwest of the United States. And that lake is disappearing, step by step. Now, where's that water going? Why is it consumed by other people? What's happening to our lakes? Where goes there? This is the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. And yes, we've built also a lot of spaces and restaurants in Las Vegas. We always try not to use too much water. with it or just be known. It's just insane if you know that in the Southwest the lakes are disappearing. The Colorado River, one of the biggest streams in the Southwest, that makes us all the way to the Pacific Ocean, doesn't get to the ocean anymore. The water is consumed before that river, it's a big river, gets to the ocean. So we do something really wrong there. Another example, this is the Arq Lake in Russia. And also that lake, it's one of the biggest lakes on the planet, is disappearing step by step since the consumption to irrigate vast plantation fields in the Soviet Union. Then again, we all know that the big reservoirs of fresh water, our pools, are going away as well. I just heard the story of somebody that told me that he has been in a bar in Tokyo, a great whiskey bar, as they have great Japanese whiskeys actually, and he had these ice cubes, and they were perfectly square, and they were perfectly clear. He has never seen anything like it. So he's asking the waiters, these ice cubes are amazing, and they're also very cold. The drink keeps cold. What is it? And they explained to him, well, yeah, that's ice from the poles, because they cut off an iceberg and they schlepp it into the Tokyo Bay, and then they cut it up to create ice cubes for drinks. And that's just obscene, is it? So we're at a level of luxury where we don't really understand what we're doing with our planet and the resources that are given. Because the water that we have on the planet is always the same. It was here 1 million years ago, and will be here 1 million years ago. But will it still look the same, is the question. And the third, poles, our glaciers, well, yeah, I'm not telling you anything new. So this water that we keep using, that life is using all over and over again for millions of years, that water changes with man. We pollute it. And even though we do a lot to clean it up again, just the damages that we do to our environment makes it more and more tough to keep this water that the 3 generations of these Indian tribes in Montana and everybody else, everybody in this room will drink. All this water was here, it will be here again, but will it be looking the same? Whatever we put in our water at one point will come back. So it touches everything, right? I mean, water touches everything. The way we plan things, the way we consume things, the way we produce things, all of it has to do with water and power. And the real problem is that, especially in the parts of the world that are rapidly growing, these issues are just multiplying, and they go faster, and it goes disastrous for the people that have to live there, in infrastructures that don't work. It doesn't mean that infrastructure works everywhere. In the first world, the pipe system in London is pretty old, and it's pretty bad. 60% of all the fresh water that they have piping through the pipes in London is lost, just disappears. It's old pipes, they're made out of brick, because of movements and digging and underground subways and stuff. All that water just trickles away. At the same time, a lot of wastewater is just pumped into the Thames. And at one point, they merge and meet again. And a lot of water that you just get out of the ground is polluted. It's so polluted that a big company there, Thames Water, is actually the company that is most sued for damages in the UK because the water is so bad. So the problem is global. The problem is everywhere. And it's a problem that's connected. Also, that's not a big secret that things are connected. It's just interesting how connected water and energy really is. The more you dig into it, the more you realize, you can't think the one without the other. If you're thinking about energy consumption, this is an interesting graph. 30% of the national power in the US is basically used for water production, cleaning, whatever. It's used in the water space. 30%. That's a big number. And the same counts for the CO2, 5% of the entire US carbon emissions. It comes from basically dealing with water. And the equivalent is 62 coal-fired power plants. That's huge. So if you think water, you also have to think energy. Besides the problem is asymmetrical. Usually, even though London is losing a lot of water in the piping systems, but they still have water that they can drink, water that they can use. There's a radical imbalance of how this fresh water, this little resource that we have, is given to people. And the poorer you are, the more problematic that space really gets. And Katrina, I actually don't think this is a national disaster. I would think that Katrina is part of man changing the ecosystem globally, so we're getting more and more storms. It's a man-made problem as well. And it culminates where people are poor and can't really sustain themselves anymore. So if you have to struggle for the basic needs, just to have water, what do you do? I think that the latest statistics is that every day 2,000 children die every day because of bad water. That's way too many. So what do you do if you are in despair, if you are in an area where you can't drink anymore, where you don't see jobs arising, where there is no development really happening? You go away. So a lot of talks that we give with GRAFT is about cities, and we're living in the urban millennium. The problems of the future will be resolved in cities, and it's true. Half of the world's population live in cities now, so we have to work with that. My question is, what kind of city? And coming back to the title, off-grid communities. A lot of cities grow rapidly, and people live in slums, where they don't have power again, and no water, clean water again. It's basically they're running into the same problem, maybe even more horrible, from what they try to escape from. So, 1 of 6 people living in slums, really, the question is, where did they all come from? And why did they leave where they belonged, right? So for us, it was interesting to look and trace it a little bit, right? If you look at the numbers of refugees these days, it's tremendous, it's huge. In Europe, we're facing hundreds of people dying on the Mediterranean Sea trying to escape areas like Syria. Okay, this is war, but a lot of people are coming, as I said, because they're in despair. They cannot live where they are born anymore. They start walking, and they're coming. Europe does know how to deal with it. Right now, they're building a new fortress, and I don't think that's the answer. I think we have to look first where they're coming from, what the problems are there, and deal with that. Like a good doctor. You have a good doctor if you don't get sick. If you get sick, you go to the doctor, he can help you, but the real good doctor is the doctor that helps you not even to get sick in the first place. So, yeah. Where are they coming from? If we look at the world at night, it's a beautiful image, right? And we marvel. It's like, I came in this morning at 4 a.m. over Sao Paulo. It's just actually Brazil. You see this flat area and all these lights. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And you wonder, what is in between? And Brazil is no exception, especially in the north. Everything that's dark means no electricity, but that doesn't mean that there are not people. There are people almost everywhere. They just don't have access to energy, right? So if you don't have access to energy, you can't develop. If we take that, in theory, and I think it's true, hence the huge hunger of China, and their development, you have to fact the idea that 60%, some people say even 20%, let's say every 5th person on this planet doesn't have access to energy. And it will never get there because it's way too expensive to build power lines, and it will be way too expensive to build streets. So they're left behind. Nothing will ever go there. We leave them completely behind. But looking at these areas, they still want some kind of energy. If you want light at night, you have to burn something. And that's what they do. You know, they burn the woods and use them for cooking. If you want light, you have to buy it in kerosene or paraffin. If you want energy, you have to have a diesel generator. And this fossil fuels, this unclean energy, is so expensive that people in rural Africa spend 40% of their entire income on that unclean energy. That's a lot. A lot. It actually accumulates to $30 billion a year. Now get this, 60% of these people spending 30 billion a year. The rest, that's all of us, the 86%, we only spend 20. How can that be? That's an obscene reality. So what can you do to break that cycle? You know, that's the idea. I don't want to only create, talk about problems. We like to see problems as challenges. And this is, where this comes in. To break that cycle, you need a source that is autonomous and always there. And that's the sun. That's endless energy. You just have to tap into it. And now it's getting interesting. Because in the last 10 years, kerosene, fossils, diesel, kerosene, paraffin, in prices went up dramatically and will continue to do so. We all peak oil, we all know that. Whereas photovoltaic, a possibility to create energy, clean energy from the sun autonomously, really declined. There's an inclination point now that actually makes it possible to create business ideas for that. And that's basically this little thing there. We call it the solar kiosk, and it's an enabler. We want to empower rural off-grid communities to help them develop. It's pretty simple. It's a little box that's flexible, it's modular, beautiful, it can be debated, but that's something that was always important, that make it right. Beauty and design is not a first world privilege. Everybody likes beautiful things. That's what Tim basically was saying. It's like, if you go to New Orleans and knock on, it doesn't matter which door, which house, of whatever designer, if you ask the people, about the house, they will tell you, my house is the best. And this is what we call social security. If you love something, you will take care of it. And that's sustainability. So we wanted to make it functional, yet beautiful as well. But it has to function. It has photovoltaic on the top, and with that energy then, we create a business. We started this out of a project in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, where we're building a hospital for tuberculosis kids in Ethiopia. And just driving through the countryside in Africa, you realize what happens at 6 o'clock when the sun goes down. Every social life stops because it's pitch black. So the solar kiosk since 2011 is something that wants to change that. We started in Ethiopia, then Kenya, Botswana, we're now also in Tanzania, Rwanda, and Ghana. And we've proven that it works. What is our mission? We want to create human development, but also a gateway for these people, an energy gateway. If they have energy, things will come to them and they can help themselves. Basically, it's development that works. It's like, the solar kiosk is like throwing a stone in a pond. You get a ripple effect. And this image shows what I mean. This is in Kenya. This is, I think, the third kiosk we put there. And as we're monitoring everything, every power that goes in, every power that goes out, we can see. On the country level, also in Berlin, we can see. So if there's a problem, we can fix it. So with this kiosk, every morning, power goes down for 2 hours. We don't know why. So we called our guys in Nairobi. It's like, please drive out there. There's something wrong with the system. So they're driving out there, and they're seeing this. Basically, what they've done is, in the kiosk, we also do services. We have a screen in there. And we gave them, we wanted to experiment with TV, to give people connectivity to use and everything else. What they've done, they added all the structure. That's a cinema. At night, they're watching Star Wars. Or Arsenal beating Manchester United, or vice versa. I don't know whether they love the Premier League. I personally think Bundesliga is much more attractive, but then I'm German. By the way, thank you for accepting a German into your home, and I apologize for the fine. It will never happen again. If we play in Germany again, it's like we let you win. But yeah, this is what happens. He added a cinema, and then on the left side it will be a butcher. If you have energy in an area where there is no energy, but a demand of people that want the same thing that we all want, something happens immediately. And that's basically what the solar kiosk can do. So with that business, how does it work? I'm an architect, so there needs to be some technical drawing, right? It's a modular system. We can extend it to all sides if it's successful, so it can grow. We have the 4 panels. We have 1 kilowatt basically on the top. We have a solar fridge, so we can cool drinks or meat if you want to, but also vaccination. We can be part of a cooling chain, which is the biggest problem for organizations that do health in Africa, but you cannot secure the vaccination. If you have a solar fridge that is next to an operator that looks after it, you can secure that. We charge mobile phones. Mobile phones is the biggest success story in Africa. Everybody has a mobile phone. It's cheap, but they cannot charge it. They have to go for days, sometimes, to get to a generator to charge their phone. So here they can charge their phone, they can charge their solar lamp that we sell. We sell solar products, we sell services that all are around energy. Hair is a big thing in Africa, as you can imagine. So, but you need, you need a machine, you need power for it. So we're also, a hairdressing shop. We're also doing prints and scans, so people can do documentation. And we sell goods. So everything that is needed, we sell there. Hygienic things, props, and so forth. So it's really a little power box where a lot of things happen at the same time. And the last thing is connectivity. If you have enough power and you can actually do wireless. We just started that on the border to Tanzania and Kenya, where you can go, and after driving for 4 hours, no reception, you are in the middle of nowhere. It's this kiosk actually, yes. And all of a sudden you can check your emails because you have a wireless connection. It's amazing. But it doesn't stop there. What we're working on right now, and we're implementing right now, is we added a canopy. And the canopy gives another 1 kilowatt, and with that kilowatt we can actually purify water. That's what I said, and there the circle comes together with energy and water. So we always go where there is a marketplace, and where people are, where there is traffic and traction. But we always look now for boreholes or just water, because water is there, but it's unclean and it's dangerous. With that energy, that extra energy, you can purify that water and you can resolve that problem for good. Now if you do this, just extend it at the voltage and you have a classroom. You can do education or cinema or football, of course, right? At the same time, you could be a health center. If you already have the vaccines there and they're secure, you have a space where a doctor sits and comes. Meaning, it's a for-profit idea that is business on eye level. We don't want to give charity. We believe in entrepreneurs because we are entrepreneurs as well. But it's business on eye level. It has to do with dignity. If you are proud of what you do, you will earn your money, and we share basically what's coming out of it. I mean, it will be years before we see any dime. We have to do thousands of kiosks. But at one point, we will get there. But we can provide spaces around our kiosk for NGOs, that basically do health things, where it's hard to charge people for, right? We can create a marketplace that is shaded, a marketplace that has enough PV so we can actually generate the power for a telecommunication mast, meaning people then, and again, energy, water, and connectivity in a circle all of a sudden works together, and it's a business case because it's secure. We nowadays get invited a lot to conferences that are organized by the UN or the Blue Helmets Peace Corps forces, because we can create a hub, a center, a neighborhood in a refugee camp that can deal with all the pressing issues of water and energy. So in a nutshell, what do we do before we're there? It's basically burning fossil fuels, no connectivity, no lights, nothing in that area. And in the first year, we cool down things, we cool down drinks, we can sell items that people want and need there. We can charge phones, we can charge batteries, we can charge solar lamps, we provide solar products to the people that they can take home. We can give light to schools or homes and make people healthy. In the second year, which is basically starting in most of them, acting like a mini-grid and becomes a community center that can do a lot more. This is where we are right now. At the end of the year, we're approaching almost 50 kiosks. In Africa, we're in East Africa and the South, and Ghana, we're starting as we speak. And one thing that is important that Tim was dwelling on a lot as well, you can't do it without the community. It doesn't matter where we go. The bottleneck is to find the right people. So you always have to talk to the elders, and when you open a kiosk, you always have to have a priest there. No business without, getting the blessing of the people. You can only do it with the people. That's essential. So we're only as good as our operators, but they're good. And the bigger idea in the end is, of course, with 400 kiosks in each country, that's our goal. Because at that point, it completely breaks even. You save, over 1 million tons of CO2 in a 20-year lifespan, though. Or if you, translate that into football fields again, it's 23,000 football fields of forest that wasn't shot down. We're proud of that. Thank you.